wanna drive a faster car. Nothing can break me, no, no, nothing can break me. Try not to hold me.
Good morning, guys. It's a semi-warm day here in Massachusetts. We're working on the 2015 Dodge Dart today. This is the one I just picked up from Copart. This is the one I'm going to end up repairing instead of the 2013 that's up in the shop. This one has a lot less damage, a lot less miles. It's 2 years newer. However, this car was supposed to be a run and drive when I got it from Copart. It does not run. I take that back. I was able to get it to start one time, and it runs pretty good. However, when you hit the key, it does nothing. Doesn't crank, doesn't do anything. So I went and bought an Actron C9660, or I'll put the link in the description. And I just plugged it into the car to look at the codes, and I get error code. I get 2 error codes out of it. I get U0101, lost communication with transmission control module. Actually, I guess the second one is also the same code. It just says pending and permanent. The second one is permanent. So these cars have an issue with the transmission control module where it sits in the footwell of the passenger side of the car, and I believe there's a recall on it, but I don't think this car, I looked at the open recalls and I didn't see it on this particular one. It's a computer box that sits in the footwell of the passenger side of the car, and there's a bracket on it, and what happens is, from what I understand, the bracket kind of holds the computer too tight, so the circuit board in there flexes and causes issues, so that it can't, it doesn't talk to the main computer of the car, and thus it won't let the car start. So we're gonna take a look at that. I don't know if the one out of the 2013 will work. Plus, there's also some configuration, I guess, that needs to be done from like a dealer computer. I did buy Alpha OBD, so we're gonna try that out and see if I can do a proxy alignment on it and get the car to start. So what I found, I took the transmission control module out of the footwell. On these cars, it's right here on the passenger side footwell, and you can see, let's put some light on in there. I don't know if that's bright enough. This is the unit itself. There are 3 bolts that hold it in place. There's this slot down here. They are 10mm bolt, 10mm nuts, like this. You have to use a deep 10mm extension and unscrew them, and there is also up at the top, you can see, I don't know if you can see up there with the, it's kind of dark, let's see if I can get some light in there. See, all right, there's one of the studs right there. There's these plastic clips that hold this harness in place that you have to pop off before you can even get to the bolts. It's kind of tight. What I found was this set of pins over here is pretty heavily corroded, as is on the computer side underneath this panel. We're gonna pull this off. So I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but that lower right there, lower left-hand corner of the plug there is pretty heavily corroded. So we'll clean that up. And the car side is also corroded in the same spot. What I don't know is why it's corroded. I suspect because the car was in a collision, and they had crash wrap over the doors because of the way the back door buckled and the front door wasn't closing all the way. I suspect that water and moisture got in there, and I believe the car's been sitting about a year from what I could see from the Copart tag on it. It has a date of January 30th of 2018, and it's now February of 2019. So I believe that's probably why it's corroded. The carpet was fairly damp when I pulled it back, so you can see in here what we had to do to get at this computer was to pull this. First of all, I had to pull this side panel off the dashboard up here. It literally just pops off. Then I pulled this whole kick panel assembly. It literally, again, just pops off. If it gives you trouble, you may have to use a trim stick, but I did not have to. So what we're going to do, I have a little CRC QD electronic cleaner Normally what I like is I believe it's also made by CRC. It's called the Oxit, but I don't have any. So we're gonna spray this connector here and take an old toothbrush and just kind of clean it up and get the grossness out of there. Spray a little bit in there. Find my trusty toothbrush. Apparently that pin is pretty weak. It's bent. So unfortunately, the pin that's down there, it's actually corroded off. There's so much corrosion on it that when I hit it with the CRC cleaner and the toothbrush, it's actually really corroded. And it's very loose. So we're probably gonna have to get a new transmission computer. I might be able to steal this out of the other car. The pin on the other side was so corroded it broke off. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna try and clean this up at least, and I may go steal the computer out of the other car. I don't know if it'll work. Spray a little in there. Don't need to be a lot. Just see if you can get some of the bristles down there. Oh yeah, that looks better already. So now what I'm doing here is I'm just taking a piece of stranded wire, because this is what I have, and I'm just gonna kind of go in and out of the pin here. Just to kind of, I mean, if you had a real small file, which I don't have one this small, probably also do the same thing. I mean, I can see the pin looks pretty clean here now. So I'm gonna say that that's it's much better than it was anyway. Just do a little bit more. That looks pretty good right there. So now if we had a working computer, we could see if she started. Fortunately, because the pin on this guy broke, I went up and snagged the computer out of the 13. I don't think that it's going to work, just because there's probably some software differences, but I want to see if it starts. It's the same plug. It should be fairly close. So let's go reconnect the battery. Wrench. Let's get the work here. That. All right, battery's connected. Let's go back to the car here. See if she starts. The key in. No. Nothing. Let's plug the OBD2 scanner in. So turn the key off. 0101, same as before. 0, same as before. All right, so 3 are the same. All right, guys, we got her running. I'm gonna try and turn her around a little bit. So what we did with our dart today was replace the computer, the transmission computer, and I didn't bolt it back in yet, but it's sitting on the floor here. And the original one had a corroded pin and the plug was corroded, so we hit it with some cleaner. We hit it with a toothbrush. We got rid of some corrosion on the plug. Unfortunately, the computer, the pin came off, so it broke. It was so corroded. So I stole the computer out of the 2013, and that was enough to get it to run with some fussing. And obviously, you can see now that I got her turned around, hold back on a little bit more. And that's probably it for today. You can see I got some damage to repair in there before I can change out. We also have an ABS light now that is popping up, and that could be because the computer has been changed. Let's back this guy up a little bit more so it's not in the way of the Jeep. All right, should be good. Set the e-brake, shut her off. Starter. Shut her off. Restart her. So I think that was the issue, guys. We'll now have to have that. That'll have to be, I'll either have to get the right one for 2015 and have it reflashed, or we'll have to take this to the dealer, because if you go into drive, right, you put it in sport, you go first, it doesn't, second, it doesn't go beyond second gear. So what you have to do, I believe, when you change the TCM in these cars, or probably any modern car, you have to do a relearn, and I don't have the Chrysler software to be able to do a relearn. So once we get the doors and stuff fixed, that'll be enough to get it up to my shop once the driveway melts. In first or second, that should be fine. It's just up the hill. So once the driveway melts, we should be able to get it up there, get the doors repaired, and then I might have to trailer it to the dealer, get them to go through the computer system, and then we can go from there. We got a runner, we got her turned around. Changing the transmission computer seems to solve, and cleaning up that corroded connector seems to have solved the starting issue. At least I think so. We'll have to keep an eye on it. So the next step will be, I got to get the other car out of the shop and down here, because we're going to work on parting it out. I may do a series on that, and kind of how to part your car out, I guess. It sucks. The other car is in pretty good shape too, but the frame rail is bent and I have no way of straightening it. And this guy came across, it's in a lot better shape. We've got to pull some sheet metal over there and either cut the dog leg off of the other car in front of the right rear wheel and make it in on this car, or just pull this and call it good. We'll see how far we can get. That I should be able to handle fairly straightforward. We already have the doors, so we don't have to chase that, because we'll pull the passenger side doors off the other car. And the other car is pretty much going to be a full parts car. Obviously, I've already stolen the transmission computer out of it. I don't know if I'll leave that in here just because it is out of the 2013. It has a different part number and everything. So, and it only looks like it's going into first and second gear in reverse. I believe this is the 6-speed automatic in here. Now I know that I believe you have to do a relearn with Y-Tech. I don't have Y-Tech. That's Chrysler's software. So we'll have to see how far we can get with it the way it is, and I may have to just get a whole new computer and take the car and the computer over to the dealership and say, here, put this in for me, flash it, etc. That way we can, drive it. But it runs and drives enough where we can get it up to the shop so that we can start working on the sheet metal stuff. The tires I'm taking off the other car because these tires suck. They're mismatched. They're smaller. The ones up there are 17s or 18s, and these are 15s or 16s. So hopefully those will fit, the better tire, plus their alloy rims. Hopefully those will fit on here without too much trouble. The exhaust, I'll have to steal off the other car because this one, for some reason, the muffler is heavily rotted. So I think the other one's in much better shape, so we'll probably steal that. And the other one will basically, unfortunately, just become a parts car, and it is what it is for the moment. You can't save them all. So guys, if you like these videos, I know they've been a little lax lately. I've had a bunch of stuff going on. We're looking at moving again, so there's just a bunch of stuff going on personally in my life that's not on the YouTube channel. So the videos have kind of been lax lately, but I have more coming. I still have the F-150 front end that I've got to put together. I started shooting that. So if you like these videos, please like and subscribe below. Turn on your post notifications. You can follow along. I post a lot more on Instagram than I do on YouTube. You guys can follow along on Instagram. I post there a lot more frequently than I do YouTube. I'll put the link in the description. It's AC Hubbard 117. And you can follow along there. Like I said, I post a lot more pictures there than I do to YouTube. So stay tuned, guys. Hope you like and enjoy these videos. Please like and subscribe.